Molly reporting for Southeast Asia. Once again, this is from multiple sources, so I'm going to be putting them into the description box below. So, let's get started. For the past few decades, Southeast Asian countries' economies have been growing rapidly. This phenomenon, however, has largely passed by the Philippines. The Philippines are a country often plagued by corrupt governments, and it's made up of a chain of islands between the Philippine Sea and the controversial South China Sea, and is east of Vietnam. The Philippines, long known as the laggard of Southeast Asia, have actually experienced a surprising annual growth rate of 7.6, and that was in 2010. This promising growth rate has led to a rise in investor confidence. The Philippines, thanks to direct foreign investment, are now experiencing a tourism boom, and the country has become home to multiple call centers and has also seen an increase in its exports and investments. This growth, however, will sadly be impacted by the Philippines' deadliest typhoon in 2012, Typhoon Bopha. And you guys should know, fun fact, that typhoon is just another word for hurricane. In different regions of the world, they call it different things, but the standard scientific term is cyclone. But I'm going to still call it typhoon because that's what all the news reports called it. So, Typhoon Bopha has caused now above 500 deaths, with more than 800 persons still missing. This number falls short of the deadliest storm, Typhoon Washi, which killed nearly 1,500 people in 2011. While the storm made landfall on December 4th, 2012, in the southern provinces of the Philippines, forecasters are now actually predicting that storm to swing out into the South China Sea and come back to hit the northern provinces of the Philippines. In the southern provinces devastated by Bopha, more than 1,000 people were injured and 3,700 people are living in temporary shelters. The typhoon was not the only source of devastation. Rivers swollen by heavy rains and flash floods have swept away dozens of people, and lahars, which are an Indonesian term that describes a hot or cold mixture of water and rock fragments flowing down hill, have swept away entire buildings. One of them was a school building. It was really sad. Supply problems have arisen in the Philippines as thousands are in desperate need of food and water and shelter, and much of the infrastructure has been destroyed by the typhoon, so they're having issues getting the actual supplies that they do have to these devastated locations. Many humanitarian agencies are actually saying that 90% of homes were destroyed in the worst hit areas. This calls into question the Filipinos' infrastructure's ability to handle hundreds of thousands of refugees and these big storms. But you should know that the problems of the infrastructure in the Philippines were not caused by the cyclones. The Filipino infrastructure has actually been notorious for a lack of government spending, and so they can't, that's one of the reasons that they have problems attracting businesses to the region anyway. It actually led to a slow GDP in 2011. The growth rate went from 7.6% to only 3.7% in 2011, which is, still, growing, but not as great and rapidly as it was. So we see that the Filipino infrastructure is unappealing to international businesses. It's the product of a government with a weak tax collection system, and that's really limited the government's ability to deal with, major issues such as Typhoon Bopha. But it's also, in a way that the typhoon, I wouldn't call it a blessing ever, but it is a chance for the government to go back to these economically underdeveloped areas that don't have good infrastructure and build up the infrastructure and invest in the region, and then hopefully make it more economically viable through their efforts. So